This is Kathleen Loftus, here to interview Jamie Loftus about history and sport in America. When did you first know you were interested in sports?
I was a young boy, probably 7 or 8. My dad took me to some Notre Dame football games because my oldest brother was a student at Notre Dame, and it was pretty exciting times.
Why Notre Dame football?
Family tradition. My father attended there. My brother was going to school there. It was just part of the fabric of our home life to follow the Irish.
What has changed about history of sports since you were a little boy going to Notre Dame football games?
Well, it's much more of a corporate model now. I think the profit mode and the impacts of unions on sports seem to be much more significant than they were when I was just a little boy, kind of idolizing Rocky Blyer or Terry Hanratty or Jack Snow.
So you think the money issue has changed the game of sports?
Oh, there's no question about it. It's a driving force. The impact of sports on society is amazing, but I also think it's become a profit-oriented business more than entertainment, if you will.
How does media affect sports in general?
Well, I think quite significantly. The advent of cable television, private networks. We talked a little bit about Notre Dame earlier. I can't help myself, but they've got their own relationship now with NBC, the Big Ten network that you're probably familiar with as a student in one of those fine Big Ten schools. I think the media exposure has been huge. ESPN just celebrated its 25th or 30th year, so it's had a profound impact. I know I watch every morning the Chicago Sports Rise, the half-hour program that keeps you up to date on different teams. So, short answer, I think it's had a major impact on society.
Do you think sports journalists sway who fans are favoring, or things like that, or do you think it's just easier to find things on your the sport or team you're focused on because of journalism?
Yeah, I think you can follow your team. I suppose if it's the Chicago Fire, they don't get a lot of exposure. Obviously, you have learned that I have a predisposition for Chicago teams, but there's an argument that ESPN, as an example, weighs too much of their exposure to the Red Sox and the Yankees and not enough to, and I'm sure they've analyzed all of that as it relates to costs and viewership and ratings and the like, but I'd say, in generally speaking, there's ample opportunity to find media exposure for your teams.
How have players and relationships with managers and just sports in general changed or evolved because of money or new fans or things like that?
Well, I think the amount of money involved in sports these days, whether it's intercollegiate or professional, is unfathomable as it relates to what the amount was when I was a young boy. So the relationship that it's created is, again, this professional environment, folks getting agents, trying to motivate the best living that they can possibly get. I think it's caused less harmony and more antagonism or differences than it used to.
So do you prefer collegiate sports over professionalism because of playing for fun and the learning experience?
Not necessarily. I think there is a lot of business related to amateur athletics, the recruiting components, the idea that you are targeted as a young athlete, even as an amateur aspiring towards professionalism, has made the recruiting situation pretty complicated and fairly cutthroat in some cases, particularly for Division I athletes.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's important for young children to play sports and become athletically involved?
Sure. There's no greater fun than a sense of play. The balance in life of healthy mind, body, and spirit, I think, yeah, it's great to have young kids participate. I'm a big fan.
What sports do you like the best?
On a personal level, the ones that I follow are hockey and baseball. The ones that I played as a little kid, and not very well, I might add, were football, baseball, basketball. Those were the ones that I think were the common sports, the popular sports when I was a kid.
How does your generation accept women in sports as opposed to the generations before you or my generation, for example?
I think, interestingly enough, my generation is sort of the transitional generation. When I was a kid, sports were primarily, if not exclusively, for young boys and men. And when I was a young adult, we saw the transition to Title IX and the opportunities for women to participate at a significant level, hopefully at an equal level. And I think it's great. As the father of 4 girls, I think it's terrific. But I also think society's been supportive of that, both at the intercollegiate and the professional level. And there may not be as many fans for the WNBA as the NBA as an example, but I know it's a great opportunity for women to participate, and I think society at large has accepted that with open arms.
And then is segregation still seen not only with, women or, things like that, but in race and things, that go deeper than just who's favorite?
Yeah, potentially. I think, you read a lot about how pro sports are an opportunity for young people of color, and maybe we're not, as a society, offering them enough opportunities to succeed, and they put a lot of weight on the potential for athletics to make a name for themselves. So I see some elements of that in our society. I hope that folks think that they can be successful no matter what their talents are, beyond just perhaps having a particular acumen in sports. But yeah, I suppose there is still that element that it's harder for some than others.
Gotcha. What was the most exciting game you saw or have played in?
Well, there's no doubt about this one. It was the 2005 Chicago White Sox World Series Championship, a straight sweep over the Houston Astros. Go Sox! It was great.
Speaking of baseball, there's been lots of controversy over, taking steroids or,
Sure.
Things like that. What do you think about the issue of drugs in sports?
Well, I think everybody's looking for an edge. There are certain parameters that are placed on these athletes not to use certain drugs. Some were or were not on the list, so it's unfortunate. I think the purity or innocence of sports is probably lost a little bit on this issue, but again, I don't blame folks for trying to get an edge and be the best that they can be, but if they're intentionally breaking the rules, then I have less sympathy, obviously.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be a part of this project. Good luck to you, Kathleen.
Thank you.